as grateful as I am to do this for a sport, it can really play a little bit on your mental health. Everyone will be blowing it up on Instagram, and you'll know who's there. You'll see the team sheet, and you'll be like, I wish I was there. Tokyo for me wasn't the hardest because I didn't even consider myself an Olympic athlete at that point. But there are a lot of people who support me as well, and I was just like, I need this. Like, I need this. I don't cry really. And my chest just started going. Shock. And I was looking at it and I was like mouthing like, I'm never going to be able to jump again. Like, I'm never going to be able to jump again. Wait, so what are we actually going to be talking about today?
So I've got a few topics obviously, and then we've got a fun section where people have sent in topics and questions. So, do you listen to many podcasts?
I've listened to a few, and one of my friends has just started one up from back at home.
Nice.
Like, they do just chat a lot of rubbish. So.
Yeah, that's the fun bit though. That's the fun bit. Like for this, like one of the structures I want to do is kind of like storytelling for to begin with, just getting to know the athlete, getting to know them as people, and then the middle section is like agony athlete. So it's kind of like people send in their submissions, send in their problems or whatever, and then we just chat them through and discuss them. And then at the end we'll do some like quick fire kind of little questions and go from there really, which would be sick. But it's super casual and like kind of fun. So
just chat through.
It's just chatting, But
nice one.
No, nice one. But yeah, so how you getting on?
Doing all right. Before I just wanted to ask you, do you have like a athlete plays TikTok page?
We do, but I've actually basically everything that we're doing has kind of everything that I've been doing for the last like year has basically been happening like behind the scenes. So like everything's been super quiet, right? And it's not like we've been kind of doing anything. But now like we're getting this stuff all set up. We've got like a few episodes that we're recording now, so that when people come back from Turkey and everything, we get some like so they go out whilst people are at Turkey or whatever. Then we can do that. And we can do it here in person, get people up to Loughborough. Then we can do the online ones as well, so we can get people from other countries, which would be sick.
That'd be cool.
So content's going to be getting pushed out onto the socials. Then we're going to be doing other stuff, trying to push the parent thing as well. The exciting thing about the parent thing is it's like getting it to marketing to parents is tough. So if you go through the athletes themselves and younger athletes themselves and be like, hey, if you get your parents to get this, they're going to help you so much.
And then the athletes.
And the athletes literally just because the parents are the ones that are going to be buying it because they want to help their kids. Athletes themselves they haven't got any money really, which is kind of sick. But also we're setting up like an affiliate partner program. So that athletes like with followings or who are kind of role models can promote the parent side of the athlete place to their audiences to then get the younger athletes that follow them to show their parents and to get them. And then they can actually get like decent money from it as well. Because we're new and because it's all ourselves, like we can offer like high commissions so that athletes can actually make good cash off of promoting what we're doing, which is then giving back to the younger generation, which is helping them. Everyone, so it helps for everyone, so it's good fun, really fun.
The whole that like kind of is missing in athletics. I feel like got that.
It's good fun, but I mean like we'll see what happens because it's like creating something that wasn't there when we were younger. It's probably the most important thing. And then going from there, really, it's good fun.
That's brilliant, mate. But in terms of me, yes, I'm doing all right. Training's going well. I've got I would say right now, I was talking about this with Molly Caudry the other day. Like my setup now is one of the like most elite squads it must be in the country. So I'm not sure if you heard that Tom Gale is now joining our group.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Sick.
So now I've got both British record holders, and everyone bar me has been in an Olympic final. so
that's good company to be in.
So this is what I'm all about. Surround yourself with 5 millionaires, and you'll be the 6th.
Mate, I love that saying.
That kind of mindset, and I'm all about that. And that's part of the reason I moved to Loughborough in itself was because the environment, the people, the level. It's just different, and it's where I want to be, and you're better off surrounding yourself with people of where you want to be. So this is just super exciting for me, training with the best boy and the best girl in the country, followed by the British record holder as our coach, an Olympic medalist. I think everything in a nutshell is just pretty surreal. I'm just excited to get these next few years on the go.
Mate, that's so sick.
Get moving, but it's been good. Training's solid. Really good kind of camaraderie between the group in and out of training. It's all very it's less coach athlete and more just like we are good friends as foundations, and then on top of that, you know, the coaching comes. So
how important do you find having supportive like and inspirational people around you, like training partners, coaches? Like
massively,
you're looking up to British record holder.
Like for me, it's huge because like I do struggle when, you know, I don't want to, you know, throw people under the bus, but I have been coached in the past by people who have absolutely no idea what it feels like or what it is like to do the sport, to do the event, or to be at a high level. And like as much as you can take from them, there's just that little bit missing of that genuine like experience of themselves. Whereas with Robbie, for example, you know, he has done everything to a T that I am trying to achieve. Little things like Diamond League champion, you know, Olympic medalist, World, European, whatever. You know, he's been there, he's been in those situations directly, and he can feed back to me, you know, exactly how it felt, what to prepare myself for in those situations, etc., etc. And like for me, like it doesn't get better than that. So yeah, it is really good. That's
so sick. I'm just conscious as well, like because this stand here is so temporary. I need to get a proper one. Of wobbling, like with the touch.
Okay, I promise.
So I'm going to move back a tiny little bit. You can move the mic as well, so it's like comfortable for you.
All right.
Just pull the arm. Yeah, it's fine. Just because I heard you talking, right, and I'm just seeing the screen moving. I'm just like, which is fine. That's me. I need to get like a temporary or a less temporary. I'm literally, as you can see, I'm using a mic box and a light box to hold it up.
I like it.
It's all the humble beginnings.
Slotted it in there.
Yeah, slotted it into the side, which is quite jokes, but it does the job. It does the job.
That's
so how's your indoor season been? Like I was speaking to you the other day, you were quite disappointed with it, but like how do you kind of in this position right now when you're looking back at it? What are your thoughts on it now?
For me, it's still a something that I'm working through or with at the moment. Like I'm unsure as to why it went the way it did and to, you know, what I would do differently to change that. I think a lot of it has come down to psychological things. I don't think anything has to do particularly with my training. I think the training was going well and my body was healthy, so I can't really blame it on that side of things. And this is where as an athlete you kind of, the doubts come in, or the you know, really can start playing on your mental health a little bit, because you're like, I'm dedicating everything to this sport and my body's healthy and training's going well, so like why are the results not coming? And this is where, you know, I still don't have an answer for that. And you know, we were working through it, but it's more for me, it's just like tough times won't last, you know, tough people do. Keep pushing forward, keep training hard, keep working hard. Like this isn't going to last forever. I have to believe in myself and believe in the belief that others have in me, that I am capable, and that I, you know, if I just continue to keep working at this, that it will come in the end, you know.
Is that a mindset you've always had, or is that something you've had to develop more so recently? Or?
Definitely more so recently, because in the past I've never really slumped.
Yeah.
I've been on a gradual, you know, I had my injury, but that was, you know, I couldn't walk, so obviously I can't jump high and I can't walk. But apart from that, my progress has been steady and gradual. Whereas this, for me, has been a dip, and I'm, you know, almost the worst part is that I am healthy.
Yeah.
When all my life it's been like, I haven't been able to jump high because of an injury or because I'm hurting this, that, or the other. Now it's like, wow, okay, I really can't pinpoint what's going on. But that's why I reflect back to the points. Just keep pushing through it. You know, you will come out the other side in a better place. I hope.
Yeah. Was there a point during the season where, like, because when did you open up this year?
It must have been just last week of January, I think.
Mm-hmm. Is that standard time for you to open up?
Around there. And then you want to get in a nice cluster of competitions. Jan, Feb time, and then end of Feb is usually British Champs, and then the major championships will be beginning of March. So my plan was, you know, it's quite sad when I look back on it, you know, I was confident. I was like, this is my opportunity to win an international medal at the European Indoor Champs. Slightly lower standard than the other championships, and I was in a really good position coming out of outdoors, you know, to go and challenge for that. So not only did I not get a chance to medal, I didn't get selected, and I didn't even manage to win the British Championships, which was hard for me, and it's still something that I'm processing and working through. But again, it's part of the process, part of the sport, and these down times or coming back from these down times really builds resilience, and I think that is a super important, you know, key thing that you need to be a successful athlete.
So kind of looking back on that indoor season, what's the thing that you would say you've taken from it the most? Whether that's a good thing that you're taking on board, or a bad thing that you're learning a lesson from.
I'm not sure this applies to everyone or me will apply to me in the future, but for right now, it's just the expectations that I set for myself. It's just remember to go out there and enjoy what you're doing, and you know, enjoy the process of literally every part of it, the traveling, the warming up, the competition, the process of the running and the jumping, and enjoying all those individual moments rather than, you know, setting yourself, I'm gonna jump this and like everything revolves around me jumping this. And then because when that doesn't happen, you know, things start to fall apart and then you're on a downward spiral. So just, you know, enjoying the little things that can't go wrong almost, you know, like just being a part of this. You know, waking up every day and being able to do this for a job, for a living, you know, focus on those things, and everything else is a bonus. I think is how I think of it.
Yeah, I think as well, I've spoken to you kind of speak to athletes, but when you're looking at it from the outside, you don't see the realities of being an athlete. Yeah. Like, especially now in the social media age, all you ever see is the good things.
Good times.
Do you know what I mean?
So, like, I had an interview the other day about the mental health, and for me, like, last year, or a year and a half ago, I became a full-time athlete. And before that, for me, athletics was always a high. No matter what, athletics was a high because it was my escape from reality, from work, from school, from, you know, the boring stuff in life. And it didn't matter what I was doing, good or bad, I was doing it. So it was a high. When I became a full-time athlete and all those, you know, school work, everything just disappeared and my life was solely athletics. For the first, you know, 8 months or so, I was on a high, but then it's hard for things to not become complacent and then you know, you start getting a little bit more down about the sport, and because there's nothing else to be down about, you know, and then when there's a bad day at training, it's a bad day in life because that's all you do. So as grateful as I am to do this for a sport, it can really play a little bit on your mental health.
How important would you say then, on the back of that, where it's so easy to become an athlete rather than a person, and it's like when you look at it and you've got such a cool thing that you're doing in life and how much it means to you and how essentially it is everything at the moment, and it's like, how important do you then kind of the importance you put on doing other things in life? Like for you've got a lot going on in your life which isn't sport, which is so great, and then you look at loads of athletes that have just got their athletics, and if they do get an injury or if they do get a setback or they are on a slump, they're in a bad place.
This is exactly, so like even I, you know, was just saying that about the whole thing. I still I'm fortunate enough to have slightly other things, and sometimes it comes down to a choice as well. I know athletes who choose to cut everything out and just focus on athletics, which, you know, if that works for you, that works for you, but then you've got to remember, if you're having a bad day in athletics, you have nothing else outside of that bad day in athletics to fixate on. Whereas if you try and keep your options open with, you know, friends, other hobbies, I don't know, other interests, then if there is a bad day with athletics, you can kind of put that to the side for the rest of that day, focus on, you know, your friends, your family, whatever hobby you picked up, and then, you know, come back the next day and it's a new day, a new training day. You don't have to just fixate on that bad day. So for me, I'm more of a try and have other things going on at the same time. But, you know, with your focus 100% on athletics, just try and keep a nice little bit of balance.
Yeah. What are some of those things that you like to do away from athletics?
So for me, I try and there are some decisions I will make that will possibly directly negatively affect my athletics, but I think what they do for my mind and my mental health overpower the positives. So like, you know, even just going for a drink with my friends on a Saturday night, because, you know, I just
heavy night out.
We'll keep it light, but, you know, I'm just talking a basic little bit of socializing, watching the football and having a pint. which a lot of athletes would probably be like, no, you don't drink. But for me, it's like, it's 1 pint or maybe 2 pints. And that, or maybe 3.
Don't tell Robbie.
Well, that's another thing I could talk about. But for me, what that does for me in terms of a release and a bit of time away from the track and my focus on something else, it kind of scratches that itch of maybe something that I need. And then I can come back on Monday morning and really hit it. And I haven't been like, it hasn't dragged me down all weekend. It's not like I'm going on an all-night bender and like recovering hungover on Sunday. It's just a bit of downtime, or even like going out for some food. Going home to see the family. Anything I can to just keep my mind busy, and not fixated 100% on athletics.
Yeah, I completely agree. I love that. It's like, I think being in an intense training environment and being like having intense training setups and like being kind of all in on your sport has so many benefits, but also it's like you have to manage that balance, right? Say for me, for example, I remember, it's well hot in here, isn't it?
Try to take this jumper off. You're gonna get half naked.
So I was in a restaurant yesterday. I think it was Giggling Squid in Leicester, and there's these old people next to us. There's like a husband and wife, and I'm assuming husband and wife. And one of the guys went to take his jumper off, and he took his whole t-shirt off as well in this restaurant. He's really like fat bloke, right? He took off his whole t-shirt, and he just he panicked big time. His mates were laughing, and literally he was just sat in this restaurant topless,
belly out,
like beer belly, like tattoos, like he was dying inside. It was so jokes, and I was literally trying not to look over, trying not to laugh at the same
fumbling,
time.
Trying to get his t-shirt out of his bag.
But I literally said, if that was the younger bloke next to us, like it wouldn't have been that bad. But he made a big deal out of it. It was so jokes.
Yeah, you just got to try and play it off.
You've got to play it off smooth, don't you?
Go on.
It's funny, nice interlude. But like, if you don't have that balance, then it is quite a dangerous place to be. But it's like you say, it's fine to do that, but you have to be cool with that. You have to be like, it has to be the right decision for you.
Yeah.
And I think that's the importance of surrounding yourself with people that get it, surrounding yourself with people that are supportive of what you do, whether that's your parents, your siblings, your friends, your training group as well. But then perhaps it's important to have different friend groups that give you different things. Like,
massively.
Do you know what I mean?
Another one I 100% agree on is like, I like to think that I've got like my 3 separate groups of friends that will kind of give me different needs, and it's not all about me, but it's like I can go to this friend group and we tick this box, whereas this friend group gives something else, and it's just having a variety of different people and different things. So you, like, again, it's not all people feel like this, but for me, I feel like I need a widespread of just things going on in my life, different interests, different social situations, whatever it may be, just to keep that balance going on, and things not getting boring or tedious.
Yeah,
and I like to keep a variety.
Yeah. Having the variety is so important, I think, as well, because like this sport can get super monotonous. Like especially in winter when you're out of comp season, like you're literally, say you're in a 3-week training block and then you have a rest week, for example. That 3 weeks, when you look at it, there's not a lot of change.
It's just run, lift weights, circuits.
Yeah,
Run, lift weights, circuits.
Literally, and it's like, if you don't use the time away from the track, which, let's face it, is actually quite a lot of time. Like, how your sessions probably last between like an hour and 4 hours, maybe a bit, probably like that.
There's a lot of time.
It's a lot of time in the day not doing it. But then it comes back to the importance of obviously like recovering, and the saying where it's like, the things you do away from the track are as important as the stuff you do on the track.
100%.
But then that's physically. But then mentally, you've got to do stuff that's completely opposite, whether that is going out for food or doing this or that. And it's like, having that is super important.
I think my mind often gets like conflicted with the idea of rest. So like, what I'll do is I'll know on Tuesdays I just have a morning session, and I'll get to the track for 9:30. Session will be done by 11:30, 12. I'll get home, shower, eat everything, and it's maybe like 1:30, 2 o'clock, and I've got the rest of the day to chill. And like at that moment, I'm so excited. I'm like, yeah, let's jump on PS4 all day, chill out. I'll play for like maybe hour and a half, 2 hours, and then I'll be like, I need to do something, and I need to do something productive. Like, I need to make some money. I need to like be bettering myself in some way. And I'm like, it's a kind of a battle with myself of no, you just need to sit down and rest because this is what's going to help you the most. And then the whole house like, no, I need to do something to like be better in myself. So, you know, I'm fighting with myself, but I'm often reminded by people like Robbie that the hardest part can sometimes be going home and sitting down and just watching TV and like trusting that that is the best thing for you at that time. So yeah, it's a bit like that.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting one as well though. But I guess like I said, most people don't see that. They don't see that side of things. And I think it's like, all right, everyone, we're just going to take a quick break from the show to introduce our sponsor, Rewire Fitness. Rewire is a mental fitness platform that helps athletes to become healthier, more resilient, and to reach their full potential. But most of all, it helps athletes to reduce the likelihood of burnout. This is something very close to my heart, and perhaps if I knew about this in 2020 when I was going through the worst bits of my burnout, it might have kept me competing in the sport. I've been using Rewire Fitness for some time now, and it's genuinely transformed my morning routine. I use the app to test my readiness for the day ahead before suggesting a number of cognitive training exercises to help me boost my productivity, my performance, or my rest throughout the day. If you're keen to explore new ways of reducing your stress or optimizing your performance on and off the track, head to theathleteplace.com/podcast to get 20% off your first year at Rewire Fitness. Back to the show. How would you say, like, before you became like a full-time athlete, like, has your life changed from the time where you were just about there to you are now? Because like you look back at it and you kind of think there's not actually that much difference, but then sometimes there's loads.
I still like to think that I'm just about there, not quite there. I'm hoping there's the next level for me to go to. But you know, when I was working or at college and doing athletics, and some of those times I was competing at the same level as I am now as a full-time athlete, it shows that, like, you know, it is possible to do, you know, work or school or uni or whatever it may be and still be a high-level athlete. And I think sometimes, or for some people, it may be even beneficial because it keeps their mind busy away from the track. You know, you don't have to just think about track. You can go do your session, then you go to work. If it's a non-strenuous job, a physically strenuous job as well, like, it could be really good just to keep your mind busy while you're relaxing and resting, or, you know, uni work or whatever. So my days were busy when I was working and training, but like a part of me loved how busy it was. And as long as like I managed to find a balance, something that worked for me where I wasn't getting overtired or stressed or anything like that, and my days were just full, and you know, I didn't hate it. I love being a full-time athlete, but I didn't hate working and doing athletics at the same time. You know, it was okay. It was manageable.
Yeah. When you kind of look back on the journey you've had to get to where you are now, what would you say the things are that potentially kind of happened to you when you were younger, or like the lessons you learned when you were younger that have helped you get to where you are now?
I think...
or even the people around you.
I think that for me, I was good at sport and stuff, and I just really was passionate about physical activity. So that was not always something that was a given. Like, I was going to end up, whether I was doing it professionally or not, I was going to be spending a lot of time doing sport. And I don't think I learned a huge amount of lessons when I was younger. You know, I would say I kind of had it smooth sailing. Like I said, I was on a steady progress. But for me, the main things that stood out was when I first got selected. I think it was Sainsbury School Games back at the time.
Those are the glory days, man.
And for me, like, that was the first time I got to really mingle with other like-minded, talented athletes. And I was like, wow, like, you guys are amazing. Like, I want to spend more time with you guys. I want to be in this environment. This is where I thrive. This is where I want to be. And I remember coming home from the first one that I ever did, and like that fueled me for that whole next winter. I was like, I just want to go back. I just want to do it again. I just want to get selected for my next team. And then I think I managed to get selected for my first GB representation, and it was like even better. Like, you got the kit and then the squad and the team, and for me, they were like the moments that fueled my fire and really got me dedicated. You know, when you're in the winter running in the cold and the wet, like, I'm thinking about those moments, Not even so much the competition, like the competition is there, but just that week away with those people is what really, like, you know, inspires me and gets me going.
That's exactly the same as me.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when, what was it, probably bottom year under 17, I think it was, like when under 17s is the year in athletics when you're like, how old are you, like 15, 16?
Yeah.
That's when you're finding kind of who you are as a person, what you like, what you enjoy. You kind of have a bit more direction in your life a little bit. But like, in terms of the sport, that's the thing that kind of shapes you, I think.
Yeah.
Like for me, exactly the same. I remember going to my first English schools, and I think it was my first English schools doing 4 hurdles. And I made the final as a fastest loser, like scraped my way in. I was like lane 1 or 2 in the final, and then I managed to come third by like
so you managed to come away with the medal,
100th or 1000th of a second. Yeah.
What a feeling.
And then, but the thing that drove me the most off that competition was when you come first or second at English schools in the under 17s, you then have the international the week after.
Yeah.
So then if you come top 3, they take you to the international room where they do the kit fitting and all that stuff. And I was third.
What is that, in case someone drops out?
So yeah, they take the top 3. First 2 are guaranteed, but then the third place person goes there as the reserve. So I was sat there, like still buzzing with coming third. And then that realisation that, I'd come third and I was on this high. But then that reality check of, you're in this situation here, but you're not going. Do you know what I mean? Like,
that's kind of, heartbreaking as a kid.
But that moment there, like, was such good character building because it was like, I'm so jealous now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so jealous that you're the one going and you're the one trying on this kit, like taking photos in this England kit, and I'm just sat there with like a sore thumb, like, this sucks.
Man.
But then, like, as that season went on, it was like, or that competition where you start making friends with people that aren't at your club. You get to know people that you're competing against from other areas of the country, which is massive. Then from those competitions, you have like the school games as well. And the competition that probably shaped me the most as a person, but also my career as an athlete, although it was quite short, going to the under 17 school games, where you're suddenly then exposed with people from all around the country, from all different events, from like completely different backgrounds of people. And for me, I remember going there and finding myself in a friend group that I'm still friends with now.
I still talk to the same people that I was.
And it's like when you're at that age, if you go to the school's international, or you go to these international age groups, you become best friends with those people because you're so like-minded, and because you're like, as cliquey as athletics is, do you know what I mean? Like the best athletes kind of all like make friends with the other good athletes because they spend time together.
It's like the perfect like matchmaking system. Like everyone who's just like you is going to be there.
Yeah.
And then it's hard not to keep a connection with those guys. And I don't know how school games is doing now, but like I feel like it was kind of dying off a bit because it used to be this whole, it's sponsored by Adidas, and it was like a whole Olympic. They had all the events, and you'd do like 5 days there,
stuff.
And you'd go and watch the other sports on the days off, and they've kind of cut it down. The last I heard, it was like just the 2 days, and Sainsbury's might have even dropped out.
Yeah,
as a
they have.
sponsor.
Yeah.
And I really think it's something that we should push as a country, because I could talk to you, me here, and I know that hundreds of other athletes, like that was a real turning point in their career, or like an important moment of what excelled them to where they are now. So it would be nice if maybe the athlete place could get involved.
Come on, we'll start our own school games. Yeah,
be amazing.
But like, I think the thing I resonated with most when you were saying that was it wasn't the competition or the performing and stuff like that was the best bit. It was the people, the social aspects. And I feel like we've known each other for years now because of these competitions and these things like that. But the thing that kept me in the sport for the longest time was the social aspects. And it's the people that you get to stay and be around with and get to know. 100%. And it's like the performing, the kit, the medals, like the going away, they're all just like benefits of that. And it's like my driver when I was young was like you. It was like, if I get better, I get to go to more competitions with more cool people. That's it.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I want to be a part of that.
You want to be FOMO in the sport is the maddest thing.
It's crazy because everyone will be blowing it up on Instagram, and you'll know who's there. You'll see the team sheet, and you're like, I wish I was there, or I want to be there, and that would be the driver and the motivator for most people. Yeah,
100%. Like FOMO, I think is definitely one of the maddest thing, because like in this sport, it's so marginal between either winning or losing, but making teams and not making teams, stuff like that. But it's like, what was the FOMO like for you during Tokyo? Because you're seeing people at the games itself that potentially you're better than or would perform better than, but then the people that you're competing against, Tom, for example, like these are people that you're wanting to be around, and like
if I'm brutally honest, like Tokyo for me, I forgot what I was doing that year. Tokyo for me wasn't the hardest because I didn't even consider myself an Olympic athlete at that point. For me, it was the World Under-20 Championships when I ruptured my patella, and I jumped the standard, and I was in great contention to be there. And like I'd been on teams for the previous years with the same people, and then I just missed out on this one, and like that was hard, you know. Not only that I wasn't there for performance, that like every time, you know, I'd be watching them on the TV, and then I'd be on my crutches, like going to do whatever, and like those are the moments where it's like, wow. As sad, as hard as it was, these were like my motivating factors. Like I just want to get to the track, I just want to get better, I just want to be part of this again. And like put aside the competition and all that, like I just want to be part of that team. I want to, you know. And like now it would be the Olympics and any other senior meet because I'm older. But like I trained so hard to be a part of that team. Like I just want to go with the team. And now with my current training group, Robbie's, you know, signed a contract or whatever, so he will be the coach on every team. Morgan's so Morgan's going to be there. And like, that's my squad. I want to be part of that, so I'm grinding day in, day out so that I can go with them and be part of that, because that's where you want to be as an athlete.
I think that is so sick as well. It's like because like for me, having taken a step back from it all, my favourite thing is seeing my friends get into this position and to be the ones making these teams and to be winning these medals. And it's so good to see, like, having known these people for so many years, you see the progression, you see the hard work day in, day out, you see the setbacks, you see the injuries, you see the ups and downs, like, and then you see the best bits, which is them wearing that kit on the day, performing in a final, making medals, making finals, like making it all worthwhile. And it's like, that's what it's all for. That's what it's all about.
Those moments of happiness are just like, you know, it doesn't happen often. I do feel like athletics can be a 9 out of 10 sport, but on that one time out of 10, it really makes everything worth it. And they're the moments that we are chasing and that, you know, we're here for. Yeah,
that's sick. So one thing I want to show you.
Oh, it's me.
This here, third attempt at the Commonwealth Games in the final.
It's such a terrible jump as well. But I was like, put your foot down and get over that bar. That's relief, that is.
Yeah. Third attempt. So what was it like kind of clearing that? Because that was like your whole competition either over or not, right? Yeah. And that comment there from Hamish Kerr.
So technically in high jump, when you're not supposed to scrape your right foot as you go up. I like to lower. It's just bad technique, basically. Yeah. But this jump, you know, look at the crowd. I'm not going to lie, most of them aren't looking at me. They're looking at Eilish McCoglin because she just finished the 10,000 meters. Yeah. But there are a lot of people support me as well. And I was just like, I need this. Yeah. Like, I need this. And like, I don't care how I get over the bar. Like, you know, probably looks like decent high jump, but like, I know that the technique in that jump is awful. But I was just like, I am getting over this bar. I want to be a part of this next round. I want to go up to the next height. And then you can see in my face there, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I've actually done it. And I just like sit down, relief, collect my thoughts. All right, let's go again. How
do you go again? Like after jumping something like that, where you're literally on the highest of highs, right? Yeah. And then you've got to come back and be like, oh crap, the comp's still going.
This is another thing, like me and Molly, we went we talked a lot about this competition, and we were thinking, this, no matter where we go in our careers, or whether we stop now or we go on to be world champions, this moment is going to be like a huge highlight, because Birmingham, like being young, first Commonwealth Games, all these kind of things, and we were like, when you get out there, try not to get, because when you go out, sometimes like you just get into a zone and you forget to appreciate what's around you.
Being present in this sport
Be present
is so
in the moment.
hard.
So we were trying to remind ourselves, take 3 seconds, breathe, look, appreciate where you are and what's around you. And like I'm gonna tell you, I was trying so hard to do that. Like I'd be taking a moment, but I still wouldn't be taking a moment, because when I think back to those times, like I can't really remember what was going on, because you're so focused on performing well. And I wish I could just go back and relive that and actually just be like, I don't care about the performance right now. I'm just like breathing in. I remember there was one moment when I was on my mark, and like I was about to like start running at the bar, and I look up and like on the 4 screens of the TV, it's just my face. And like I'm just like, oh my God. Like it was like surreal. And then I was like, how am I supposed to go from looking at that to then focusing on clearing this bar? But, you know, everything kind of came together. And
did you clear it?
I think I did on that attempt, yeah. And, you know, I've only jumped 225 once in my life and 227, which would have got me a medal in this competition. I performed well based on, you know, where I'm at. It was very disappointing. And then the other thing is you get caught up with expectation. Like, for some reason, I came away from the competition in 5th place, jumping 222, which is really great for me in that moment. But like, I was slightly disappointed, and it is a shame that I felt disappointed, because it's like, well, take a second. You're at the Commonwealth Games. Like, think about if you told yourself, you know, 4 or 5 years ago that you'd be in that moment, finishing in that place with that high, you'd be over the moon. So it's like, you know, just reminding myself that, you know, it is great, and reflecting upon things like that. But what a moment.
That's mad.
Yeah.
It was honestly like watching that was so good. Like to have an atmosphere like that whilst you're competing, probably the biggest moment of your career, right? Home crowd, you're in the final. Like this is what you strive to have when you're young and as an athlete. That's so sick.
I'm just reliving it for a second there. We're talking about it. Like I haven't done that in a while.
Yeah, but it's so important too though, because in this sport, and I suppose in life as well, but that's like the link between the sport and how it affects life and impacts life. It's so easy to have something as a goal, to tick it off, and then as soon as you've done it, it's like, cool, what's next? Because I can guarantee that as soon as you finish that competition, you would have been, all right, cool, what's next? What's the next comp?
Massively.
Like, oh, I've got this comp, like World's got Europeans, like.
No, I completely agree. And then you get to a point you're like, I want to get here. I like, for me, like right now, or the last year or so, it's been like, I want to be an Olympian. Like, I want to say I'm an Olympian. And I guarantee if I get selected for the Olympics, it'll be like, okay, I want to be an Olympic medalist. And now I've completely just brushed past the fact that I've achieved that lifelong goal. So it's like, just taking a moment, taking moments throughout life to appreciate what you have done, what you have already achieved, whether that be in athletics or anything, just taking a moment to appreciate the beautiful thing that is life in itself, to be honest.
Do you do that enough?
I do try, and you know, for me, the first few months I became a professional athlete, it was every day. I was like, I am so grateful for this, that I get to do this every day. And like I said before, it becomes a little bit complacent and you forget to appreciate what is amazing. So I think it's definitely something I could do more of, but I will be there, you know, day to day. Take 2 or 3 seconds, just think about what you've done, where you are, happiness, health, all those kind of things, and appreciate it. And then carry on going for the goals that you're trying to achieve, I think.
What are the goals you've got now?
In my mind now. So things have changed a lot since indoors. I've really tried to not lower my expectations, but just not fixate on the expectations so much and make it more of enjoying the process again. So for me, this year is, it sounds stupid, but my goal is to jump high. Obviously.
Well, it's easy. You might as well just jump high.
Literally. Whereas before, you know, it was like, world final, jump 230, like these very specific. Now it's just like, let's jump as high as I can and like feel good about it and go out there and enjoy competing again. Not that I ever stopped enjoying it, but like, you know, I've had a bit of a slump, so it's like really just enjoy what I'm doing. And then if I go into a bit more specifics, the goals this year is just to make the World Championships. I'd love to be on that team again. I went last year. It was a little bit more lenient in terms of the selection, which is why I managed to go, and I'm forever grateful for that. This year they've toughened it a little bit, which some athletes agree with, some don't. I personally don't mind. For me, I will just try and achieve whatever the goal is to get there. So if I can achieve that, it will be big for me, and I think I will appreciate getting selected much more this year than I did last year. Last year was everything was just all in my face at once. You know, 3 championships in a row, and it was kind of like next. Whereas this, I appreciate, you know, what it is to actually be a world champs athlete, and what you have to do to get there is fairly impressive. So hopefully I can, you know, appreciate that, and hopefully I can get there as well.
Yeah. Did you plan to go to all 3 champs last year? Was that actually in the plan?
I didn't know there was a World Championships last year.
Yeah.
And then I jumped high, and then for me it was the goal was the Commonwealth Games. There's an interview from me in like 2020, and I'm like, I think I just won my first British champs, and I was like, yeah, like if I don't make the Commonwealth Games in 2022, I'm probably going to pack it in, because like, why would I still be doing the sport if I'm not progressing at that speed? And then it was literally this time last year, I was going out to Florida for a training camp, and my season's best was 218, and I needed to jump 225 to go to Commonwealth Games. And I had 4 competitions to jump it, and I was thinking, I found the article again, and I was like, am I really going to quit if I don't make the Commonwealth Games?
You're chatting waffle.
And I was like, wow, okay. I just had no expectations. I went to Cardiff for an NAL, which is a fairly
low-key.
It's a low-key event compared to what I could be doing. And, you know, I felt a bit rusty. It was kind of cold, so I kept my leggings on, and I came in at 195, which is fairly low, and I took every single jump from 195, 2 meters, 205, 210, 215, 220, and 225, cleared every single one first time. And there's a video on my Instagram as well of when I cleared that 225, I looked up and I was just in disbelief, and I was like, there's no way that I've actually done that. And I remember looking at it. If you can't find it, I can get it.
I've got it here actually. Yeah, there you go.
It might be
this one here, look.
Is it? Can you go on to the next video? So here, like, I just sat and so what I did, I just jumped. I was running and I was jumping, no expectations, and I looked up and the bar was in line with the horizon.
Yeah.
And I just was like, I couldn't really see it, and I'd wobbled it, so I was like, oh, maybe it's not there, and I had to check each side of the upright to see that the bar was actually still on. And then I saw it, and then you can see in the first video, I just fell backwards, and like I couldn't control, like, I don't cry really, and my chest just started going, and I was just like crying, and I was like, why am I crying? But I was so happy, and I couldn't believe it, because like I'd achieved that one thing that I was going for, and I just cried and cried and cried. And I remember I tried to go for the next attempt.
Just wobbled up to the bar.
I still had tears in my eyes, and I was like, oh, okay, you know, I'll go for it. But nothing was coming. I'd kind of.
Did you take all 3 attempts?
I did. I went all 3 attempts at the next height. 2 of them with tears in my eyes.
Yeah.
But you know, what a day, what a moment. And then, so referring back to what you said, it wasn't until that moment that my coach might have said, like, by the way, you're in top 32 of the world and you could get selected for Worlds. And I was like, there's a Worlds this year? Like, I did.
Someone's read the selection policy.
Yeah. And I'm like, I didn't even know that I was on this year, because I was so not in that level of even thinking that's where I was. And I think, you know, that's where I can sometimes perform at my best, is when I just have a clear mind space, no expectations. I'm just really doing what I love, running and jumping. So, you know, looking at the indoors, coming to the outdoors, I'm hoping to find a nice headspace of quietness and, you know,
quietness in this sport. You're having a laugh. I think that's kind of nice though. Like we touched earlier about that injury you had.
Yeah.
Like, because I remember watching this on, I think it was Vinco or whatever, or YouTube. Like, you cleared, was it 220?
Yeah, so I cleared 217 to be a PB and my world under 20 selection standard. Then went on to the next height, cleared 220, and 220 is, it's a big round number. How old
were you in that year?
I was 18. So this was quite high for an 18-year-old at the time. And Dominic Odebechi had just jumped 222 the day before and broken the 15-year-old world record. That
was in the under 17s.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was mad. I remember that.
Okay. I was thinking he did 22, I'll do 23, so put the bar to 23, and I was going at it, and I don't feel like I would have cleared it anyway, but I remember on the last attempt, I was like, one thing I never do is get the crowd clapping, and I was like, it's last attempt, I've had a great comp, let's get the crowd clapping, and I'm clapping, and I remember, and everyone's going, and I just run at the bar, another day, another attempt, and put my foot down, and then he just went, exploded. I didn't know what had happened at the time, but I thought I'd broken my leg or something. I remember I'm crawling, I'm on the mat face down, and in front of me is my mum in the crowd, directly in front of me, and she's just stood up like this, and I'm looking at her with shock because I don't know what's happened. My leg looks fine, but I thought it was all going to be
we're just pointing into directions.
You see something on Instagram and it's and I thought that was me, and I was just in shock, and I was looking at her and I was mouthing I'm never going to be able to jump again. I'm never going to be able to jump again. And then, the physio came over and kind of checked me out, and she was like, you look all right. And everything looked fine. So at that moment I was like, smile on my face. Maybe it's just a small injury or whatever. It wasn't a small injury, but I was still riding the high of what I'd achieved in that competition for quite a while. I think that got me through quite an important part of my injury, because imagine I'd injure myself like that with achieving nothing. It would be a real downer. So at least I had that high to go off for a while. And then the rest just kind of worked through it.
Yeah, because you were only 18 when you were dealing with that. Yeah. Being 18 in itself is a challenging time in life, but how did you deal with that injury, and have you kind of what have you taken from that experience? Because I feel a lot of athletes look back on these times and actually can take quite a lot from it.
Yeah, so I think being 18 was difficult, but also was a positive because of my innocence to understanding. If I did that now,
it's young naivety. Yeah, it's so good.
I was a ruptured patella is a serious injury, but I was just a kid and I didn't really know. I was I'll come back to it. I'm coming back. It doesn't matter.
See you at World Juniors.
Yeah, I'll be back in 5 months. Don't worry about it. So that was in my opinion, a positive. But then also, I think to this day I still struggle with the rehab that was put in with my knee because of the rehab, because of how unseriously I took it, because I was young. But whatever happened, it got me through, and I managed to be jumping again 15 months later, which I think is a pretty quick recovery for the level of the injury. So it's what it is. But I don't know how much I learned from it. There were moments I remember where I'd be in my brace in my room and I'd just be banging out sit-ups and press-ups like
Rocky style.
If I can't train my legs, then my body's gonna be amazing. You know what I mean? Just doing what I can.
Beach bod.
And then I look back at videos. I did all my rehab at just an outdoor track in Worcester. Using an agility belt and other stuff, and it was all it's a bit shit really, but we managed to get through it. And I hope it doesn't happen again. I don't think it will happen again, anything like that. But there will have been skills that I picked up, such as resilience that I still use now in the sport. But yeah, it was a tough time.
Tough times don't last.
Tough people do.
That's so true. Right, we're going to move on to the Agony Athlete section here, where people have sent in their submissions or questions, and we go through them, right? So let's see.
A lot of these.
We've had a fair few, to be fair, for the first few weeks, which is nice. Obviously, the more people that send stuff in, the better it's going to be, right?
Yeah, of course.
So this first one here says, "Hi, I'm struggling to get on with my coach and don't feel like I fit in with the people in the group. I don't live in a city, so there aren't that many clubs or groups around. I threw pretty well last year and I'm in good shape, so I'm a bit torn as to what to do. What are your thoughts? Thanks."
Is there an age on these people?
No, this person hasn't put their age.
The coach thing is always it's an extremely difficult one. That athletes, doesn't matter how young or old you are, it's always going to be a difficult topic of conversation. For me, you've got to be happy in your environment, and if you're not happy, like, I don't know what your I don't know what this person's age is or whether they're able to travel elsewhere or whatever, but for me it would be find an environment that you thrive in. Even if the coaching situation isn't as good, I think you're better off being in an environment that you're thriving in rather than a poor environment with a good coach, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, 100%.
And I found that, I moved to Loughborough and I didn't even have a coach for the first 6 months I
remember here, that, yeah.
But I was so high off the environment that it got me through and it got me some quality work. So I think first things first is find a place where you are thriving. Whether that be you going to the track on your own, just watching YouTube videos, I don't know, messaging other athletes saying, this is my situation, have you got any tips? But if you're going to training and you're like, I'm not enjoying this, I'm not enjoying the coach, I'm not enjoying the people, I'd really say remove yourself from that situation, because I just don't think that's going to help in any way. Yeah. You've got to enjoy where you are, you've got to enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I completely agree. Yeah. I think when you're young, it's quite difficult, because when you start out in the sport, usually you just go to your local club
100%. And
then you just join a coach, right?
Yeah.
You probably start off in a random running group, and then you'd be like, oh, I'll do throws and long jump. And if your club doesn't have dedicated throws, or pole vault or jumps, sometimes you can go elsewhere, which is totally fine. I feel like people in this sport as well are too loyal.
Just nice. You don't want to hurt people's feelings.
Yeah.
And, this, that, and the other. But this is a sport where it's you and you. You need to be selfish, and you're gonna hurt feelings, and you're gonna lose friends and whatever. But if you want to be a world-class athlete, you have to make these choices and take these risks and cut these people out, and this, that, and the other. And I've been there, and I think at the end of the day, all emotions have cooled, everyone wants the best for you, and they just want to see the kids and the adults in our country succeed at the end of the day.
And at the end of the day as well, if you leave that club or group or training setup, if you do well after that, they'll probably come crawling back anyway.
100%, and be like,
we made you.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? And that's okay. Let people have their bit of glory if that's what they need or want. It's part of the game.
Yeah, it literally is. Right. Here you go. All right, the next one. Hey guys, I competed indoors and did pretty well compared to how training was going, so I'm happy with that. However, I was struggling with going into competitions where I wasn't the favourite to win. I put a lot of pressure on myself to win and quite often expect the worst. I know this is a bad way to think about things, but I think it makes things easier to deal with if the competition doesn't go to plan, or if that does happen, if that makes sense. So my question is, how do you approach a competition where you know that you're not the favourite to win going into it?
So is they saying that they'd approach a comp and then prepare for failure, so that in case they do fail, they're prepared for it?
Yeah, it looks like it, yeah. I think we've all been there, to be honest.
Yeah,
you're protecting your own ego.
Yeah, because the worst can always happen. In high jump, it doesn't matter how good you are, you can always no height, and then you're dead last, no matter what it is, no matter how good you are. And I think you've got to trust yourself, but losing is okay. It's part of the process. But if you go in preparing to fail, you're more likely to fail. I think you should go in with a mindset of I'm going to give everything I can to win. I'm going to do the best that I can do, and then maybe not look so much on the winning or the losing, but going in and performing to your best, and then like you said, you performed better in the competition than you had been doing in training, and that's a win in itself. Doesn't matter whether you lost or won, you've got a win from that. So you could just take away the whole coming first or last and focus on what you want to achieve from that competition, and then you can base your happiness on whether you achieve that goal or not. But yeah, I struggle with that as well still to this day. You know, I'll go into comps where I'm not the favourite and I'll struggle to believe that I can even do anything, and I'm kind of like, what's the point of me coming if I'm not going to win?
Just going to like Diamond Leagues.
Yeah,
like, what's the point, man?
Yeah.
You've got man jumping 238 and you're just sitting there like, oh, why am I not winning?
Do you know what I mean? And it's just like, oh, okay. And then there's comps that you'll be like, I'm the favourite to win, and it'll be like so much pressure, almost like I don't want to do this because if I don't win, then I'm going to be distraught. My ego is going to be ruined. All this, that, and the other. So I think, you know, just understanding and accepting that winning and losing is okay. It's part of the sport, and then going into competition, setting your own goals, so you can win and lose on your own goals rather than based off other people's goals and, you know, placements and stuff like that. Yeah,
that's really important. Cool. And then we've got a third and final one. This one's actually really interesting. I think this one applied to you quite a bit. Hi team, my son is applying for universities but unsure if it's for him or not. I think going to university would help him from a self-development and independence point of view, but I don't want to force him into something that he doesn't want. What was it like for you when applying for university/college as athletes, and what advice would you give to parents that have athletes who are unsure of what to do?
So this is a parent who their son or daughter is about to go to university.
Yeah, they're looking to apply for university, so I'm assuming that's for next year's uni.
Yeah.
And they're not sure if they want to go.
The parent isn't sure, or the child isn't sure?
The child isn't sure. The parent thinks that their kid should go.
Okay.
But the athlete themselves is a bit undecided.
For me, it's like, if we're looking at it from an athletics point of view, I really think uni is a place where an athlete will thrive and grow and learn. From a non-athlete point of view, I would be like, don't put pressure on kids going to university. Or I don't know. I just think everyone I see go to university, they may not like it, but they grow as a person.
Yeah.
And there may be a waste of time or whatever, but like what they learned in those 3 years socially, or the friends they made, or the way they learned to look after themselves and grow up, I think is something that you can't get from anywhere else.
Yeah.
So I do think uni is good in that terms, but for an athlete, definitely, because a lot of universities, it's like the next step up from a club. A lot of universities will have good facilities, decent coaches, and that in itself, and then probably a more serious training setup. If you came to Loughborough or Brunel or like Bath, those kind of places, you'll probably be put on a proper program with a proper coach. You may get S&C, you may get physio, all those kind of things, and that is one step closer to, say, like British athletics funding, and getting you into the mindset of how it works of being an athlete. Whereas if you stay at home with possibly your club coach and your Tuesday, Thursday night sessions, that's not a world-class environment or program, or way of being an athlete. So when it comes to athletes going to university, I would definitely push for that.
I think as well, it's important for people, especially parents, to realise that there is more choice than just going to uni nowadays. Like, there's actually so many things you can do as a person that doesn't have to involve university.
100%.
Yeah, it's tricky.
I want to be like, that's what I mean. So for the actual studying side of things, it's like, if your kid doesn't want to go to uni, there's 100 other things you can do, and maybe pursue those, or like look at those other options before you make a decision. But if it came down to me, for example, I applied at university so that I could come to Loughborough and train. I didn't apply to this university because I wanted to be like a sports scientist or whatever.
I was exactly the same. I literally applied to uni to come and train.
I came here to train, and it, you know, I don't want to give like bad advice or
mate, it's all personal though, isn't
or
it?
anything like that. But for me personally, I dropped out of uni after 3 months of being here anyway, and then came back to Loughborough 3 years later to train. So maybe if I just got my head down and done the work, then I could have saved myself 3 years of being back at home, and I'd be in a different position now. But again, just explore all options, I'd say, and see what really resonates with you and where you feel, and then go visit the places, talk to the people, and just kind of feel out what you feel is right for you. I think, all about what you feel is right and where you feel at home, where you feel happy and comfortable, and go with that, really.
Banging. Joel, thank you so much for coming on.
That's all right.
I think that was really insightful, and I think there's loads of things that people can take from that.
I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun talking about myself.
I'm going to keep that bit in as well. That's jokes. All right, everyone, we're just going to talk about our biggest project at the Athlete Place, the Athlete Parent Place. So the spin-off that we've created is actually an online platform where young athletes and their parents can learn the ins and outs of the sport from elite athletes and from experts across the field. So we've created 10 different packs from nutrition, sleep, emotional support, education, anti-doping, you name it, we've created it. So this is an online platform where you and your parents get access to content from elite athletes, from your role models, to make your life easier, to make it so that your parents, your number one supporter, know exactly how they can support you best, how they can make your life easier, and how they can increase the chances that you reach your performance goals. So check out theathleteplace.com. If you go to our website, there's a section that says parents. Click on the parent area, and that's exactly where you'll find the information. You'll find how you can get support, how we can help you to reach your performance goals, and how we can help your parents to have a better understanding of your sport so they can help you better. Trust me, you really don't want to miss out on this. I, for one, would have loved this when I was younger, but all the elite athletes that we've worked with and are working with in the future all say that this is something that's going to change the nature of sport from a performance and a well-being point of view. So head to theathleteplace.com, click on parents, tell your parents where to find it. They're the ones that are going to be signing up. They're the ones that are going to benefit, but you're the one that's going to help, have the extra help and reach your performance goals. It's all about you. They're the ones that are helping you get there. Check it out, theathleteplace.com, parents.